Greetings everyone. I am Dr. Rohini Ruhil. This festive season I pray for your well-being. Now what do you understand by the term well-being? So let us explore this concept in terms of artistic expressions. The concept of well-being in terms of artistic expression has long been understood and depicted as a multifaceted concept. The concept evolved with time and it always reflected the contemporary social and political realities of the world. So, today we will look into various notions of well being across different art forms, across historical periods in both global art forms and Indian art forms. So, here you can see earliest form of artwork. The earliest form of art such as rock art and cave paintings, they illustrate a society where well-being was closely linked to nature and survival. So these expressions of survival, they were predominantly functional and they represent animals, hunting scenes and symbols associated with sustenance. So here you can see Bhimbetka rock shelters in present day Madhya Pradesh and they contain paintings from the Paleolithic period and they depict animals, human figures, hunting scenes and these images reflect the centrality of survival and also indicate a cultural appreciation for a balanced coexistence with the environment. Now here you can see the Lascaux cave paintings. The Lascaux cave paintings in southwestern France, they are among the famous examples of prehistoric art in the world. These are vibrant paintings. They include representation of animals such as bison, horses, deer, bulls. They are painted in striking colors, having fine details. And here the emphasis is on powerful animals and suggest a reverence for these creatures. They were essential for survival. And this represents the well-being of the community through successful hunting. So again the expression is in the form of hunting, survival, sustenance and a balance with nature. And here you can see Altamira cave paintings. The Altamira cave is located in northern Spain and it features elaborate paintings primarily of same like Lascaux cave paintings, primarily of animals like bison, horses, other large mammals and the cave significance, this significance of this Altamira cave, it lies not only in the scale and quality of the art but also in the early discovery. Like Lascaux cave paintings, they were discovered in 1940, but these Altamira caves, they had relatively early discovery and this challenged the pre-existing beliefs about prehistoric human creativity. And as with other Paleolithic cave paintings, Altamira art represents strength, sustenance, success of hunting practices, just like other cave paintings. Here also the focus is on animals, that indicates a view of well-being rooted in harmony with nature and dependence on nature. Here in this slide you can see some African petroglyphs. In regions like the Sahara Desert, notably in Algeria's Thessalin Adjair and southern Africa, petroglyphs and pictographs are abundant. These artwork depict scenes of daily life including hunting, herding, ceremonial activities just like other cave paintings, and these African petroglyphs served multiple purposes. They made sacred spaces for recording important social and economic activities and they represent a concept of well-being tied to ecological harmony, where humans and animals are portrayed coexisting, just like other cave paintings, other prehistoric artwork. Now here in this slide you can see some Kakadu rock art from Australia. Now first one is hand stencils, aboriginal hand stencils, and second is X-ray style rock art. So in Kakadu National Park in Australia, aboriginal rock paintings span thousands of years, reflecting a continuous tradition that links past and present aboriginal culture. These paintings include depiction of animals, humans, ancestral beings, and this is related to dream time. Dream time is the aboriginal concept of the creation period, and this is considered to be spiritual source of all life. The Kakadu rock art include these X-ray style paintings which depict internal organs of animals. So this illustrate that aboriginal peoples, they had an interest in anatomy and they had a connection to nature. So this is like their relationship with well-being and nature. Now coming to the concept of well-being in Indus Valley civilization. The Indus Valley civilization marked a significant advancement in understanding well-being at a societal level. You know, the cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, they were laid out with remarkable precision. They included well-planned drainage systems, public baths, granaries. Here you can see the Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro. And this Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro, it is often seen as an architectural manifestation of spiritual and physical well-being. And it is possibly used for ritual purification. It highlights an advanced concept of community health, cleanliness, social harmony. And now in the bottom of the slide you can see Indus Valley seals. So Indus Valley seals, they featured intricate motifs of animals, deities that suggest a reverence for elements that ensured well-being. The elements such as fertility, protection, sustenance. And on the upper right corner you can see Pashupati seal. So this image of Pashupati seal, this is from Indus Valley civilization and it was discovered at Mohenjo-daro. It is one of the most iconic artifacts of the Indus Valley civilization. The seal shows a central human-like figure seated in yogic cross-legged position, wearing a headdress with large horns that resemble buffalo horns. So the figure seated cross-legged posture that resembles later depictions of meditative and yogic positions, hinting at a practice of mental discipline and physical control. If this figure represents an early precursor to Shiva in this form of Pashupati, it reflects a state of balance and mastery over animalistic instincts. This posture suggests that well-being in the Indus Valley civilization that may have been associated with practices of self-control, meditation, inner peace, and these are the concepts integral to mental and spiritual wellness. Now, the prehistoric art of the world outside India as well as inside India, they both reveal common themes. You know, the themes related to survival, nature, spirituality, and well being. Here you can see some Venus figurines. So, these are fertility symbols. So, right from the fertility symbols of Venus figurines, and you have also seen vibrant animal depictions in Lascaux and Altamira cave paintings. So, all these artworks suggest that early humans viewed well-being is a balance between physical survival, ecological harmony, and spiritual fulfillment. Now, here on the left side, you can see Mother Goddess figurine from the Mehergarh civilization in present day Pakistan. So, this is a fertility symbol, right? So fertility symbols such as the mother goddess figurine, they signify reverence for reproduction as aspect of well-being. And on the right hand side you can see exaggerated features of the Venus figurines, and they are widely believed to represent fertility and possibly motherhood. So they may have served as symbols of well-being, abundance, continuity for early human communities, emphasizing the importance of fertility for survival. So these are the Venus figurines and Mother Goddess figurine as symbols of fertility and continuity of life. Now in this slide you can see ancient Egyptian art called Weighing of the Heart from the Book of the Dead, and this is 1550 before the Common Era. So for ancient Egyptian, well-being was inseparable from spiritual preparation for the afterlife. And Egyptian viewed earthly life as a step towards eternal harmony, and their art also reflect these beliefs. So here in this art called Weighing of the Heart, this shows the diseased heart being weighed against a feather, and feather here symbolizes math or truth or justice. And this weighing is done to determine their worthiness. And this whole portrayal, this reinforced the belief that ethical living ensured spiritual well-being. So in ancient artwork, the concept of well-being is closely related to the spiritual well-being and the preparation for the afterlife. Here in this slide you can see another great Egyptian artwork called the statue of Imhotep. On the left hand side you can see the sculpture of the statue of Imhotep, and this Imhotep, this is very significant in the culture of Egypt. And as a revered physician and architect, Imhotep became the deity of medicine, and sculptures of Imhotep often depict him seated, holding a scroll symbolizing knowledge and healing, and they are commonly placed in temples. On right hand side also you can see a temple relief depicting Imhotep, the inscriptions of Imhotep. And these statues and symbols, they reflect a society's belief in the role of medicine and wisdom as foundation of well-being. So this concept of well-being and related to the medicine, this was well rooted in the artwork of the Egyptian civilization, the ancient Egyptian civilization. So continuing with the ancient Egyptian artwork, here you can see the scenes from the temple of Hatshepsut at Dar el Bahri. So this temple of Hatshepsut, that was built to honor Queen Hatshepsut, and the temple's relief include scenes of her divine birth and the journey to the land of Pant, symbolizing prosperity. And this architectural masterpiece that reflect Egyptian ideals of health, fertility and divine harmony as elements of royal well-being. So here on the left hand side you can see the scenes of divine birth and expedition to the Pant at the temple of Hatshepsut at Bari. Now coming to the rise of Vedic civilization in India and the concept of well-being. So with the rise of the Vedic civilization in India, art began to embody the philosophical principles of the Vedas and Upanishads, where well-being was interpreted in terms of physical, mental and spiritual balance. The Vedic period saw the construction of altars and sacred spaces following specific geometric patterns symbolizing cosmic order and harmony. So these geometric patterns, they found in early mandalas and yantras, symbolizing the idea that well-being arises from aligning with the cosmic order. The Vedic fire altar, on the left hand side you can see the Vedic fire altar. used for yajnas, sacrificial rituals, and that reflects early Indian belief that well-being is a holistic concept encompassing the individual, society, and the cosmos. Now, on the right hand side, you can see a Shri Yantra. A Shri Yantra is a sacred geometric mandala, the origin of which is said to be in ancient Vedic texts. It is a type of mandala with geometric patterns of 9 interlocking triangles. So, Vedic art thus began to reflect a philosophical and holistic conception of health and wellness, which extended to spiritual practices aimed at achieving harmony with the self and the universe. Now, coming to the emergence of Buddhism and Jainism during later Vedic period around 6th century BC. So, the emergence of Buddhism and Jainism that brought new dimensions to the artistic representations of well-being. It focused on liberation from suffering, inner peace. It emphasized on inner peace, and structures like the Sanchi Stupa and the Ajanta caves, they feature scenes from the Buddha's life as well as images of bodhisattvas representing compassion, wisdom, enlightenment. These forms of art served as spiritual aids to foster well being by reminding followers the path of nirvana. And on the left hand side, you can see Jain art. So, Jain art emphasizes renunciation, peace, non violence with statues and images of Tirthankars in meditative poses. Like on the left hand side, you can see Gomateshwara statue in Karnataka. So, the Gomateshwara statue in Karnataka is a colossal monolithic statue. It symbolizes Jain values of asceticism, emphasizing the notion of spiritual well being through the abandonment of material desires. So, both traditions, the Buddhism and the Jainism, they promoted a path towards well being that emphasized mental peace, compassion, and liberation from the cycle of suffering. So, during the similar timings in ancient Greece, well being was seen as a balance of physical beauty, mental pursuit, and moral virtue. And this was encapsulated by the ideal of Kalokagathya, the unity of body and soul. So, here in this slide on the left hand side, you can see the sculpture of Discobolus. This was around 450 BCE, and this sculpture was created by Myron. And this bronze sculpture of a discus thrower captures the physical ideal of symmetry, balance, strength. So, with its poised energy and anatomical precision, Discobolus celebrates athleticism, viewed as essential to well being in Greek society, which prized a harmonious mind and body. And on the right hand side, you can see the sculpture of the Venus de Milo. So, the Venus de Milo, an ancient Greek statue that represents the goddess Aphrodite, known as the Venus in Roman mythology. And this was created around 130 BCE during the Hellenistic period. And this statue of Venus de Milo, it stands over 6 feet tall, exuding a serene, almost eternal beauty that has captivated viewers for centuries. And despite the absence of her arms, thought to have been lost after her discovery, the sculpture's posture and form suggest grace and movement. So, these were some ancient Greek sculptures, and where the physical beauty, the strength, the harmonious mind and body, these were related to well-being, the concept of well-being. Now, continuing with the ancient Greek art, on the left hand side you can see the sculpture of the Doryphorus. The Doryphorus, it was created by Polykleitos around 440 BCE, and the Doryphorus, he was a spear bearer. Now this sculpture exemplified the Greek ideal of proportionality and was created as a visual canon for the perfectly balanced male figure. The Doryphorus served as a symbol of health, strength, and intellectual refinement, embodying the cultural ideal that well-being required the cultivation of both physical and mental attributes. Now, besides the sculpture of Doryphorus, you can see the Pantheonic amphorae. Now, these large ceramic vessels, the Pantheonic amphorae, they awarded to victors of the Pantheonic games, depicted scenes of, and they depict, you can see here, the scenes of athletes in action. So this amphorae here, like the scenes were surrounded by symbols of prosperity such as olive branches, and the amphorae not only celebrated physical excellence but also represented the societal values of honor. They are awarded to victors of the Pantheonic games. So the values of honor, the values of health, pursuit of collective well-being through competition, right? And then besides this Pantheonic amphorae, you can see the depiction of horses in the Parthenon frieze. The depiction of horses, this is taken from the Parthenon frieze, like at the bottom you can see the Parthenon. So the depiction of horses in the Parthenon frieze, this is one of its like most celebrated aspects. It showcased Greeks' mastery in rendering dynamic movements, right? And here, like in Pantheonic amphorae, here also you can see athletes in action, है ना? So like the Greeks, this mastery in rendering the dynamic movements. Horses were symbols of strength, vitality, endurance, qualities that Athenians associated with both personal health and civic pride. The careful attention was given to the horse's musculature, movement, energy captures. So the Greek, they used to admire physical excellence and harmony. That was essential to classical ideal of Kalokagathie. Kalokagathie, the unity of physical beauty and moral virtue. The riders portrayed in control of their powerful mounts. This exemplify an idealized Athenian citizen, disciplined and physically adept, reflecting a collective well-being grounded in the health and preparedness of its citizens. So this was from the ancient Greek art. Now coming to the period of Renaissance and well-being. The Renaissance, spanning from the 14th to the 17th century, this period is traditionally associated with Europe, especially Italy, and is often seen as a period marked by extraordinary cultural and intellectual achievements. So here during this period the well-being is associated with intellect, the cultural and intellectual achievements. The flourishing of art during the Renaissance, that emphasized individual achievement and the cultivation of one's talents, intellect. So this is reflected in the works of Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. So here on the left hand side you can see the Michelangelo's David. So this Michelangelo's David, it is a masterpiece that that represents the intellect of that time. Again this also symbolizes well-being with the physical strength, the proportionality of the body, the strength of the body. Now on the right hand side you can see the Leonardo da Vinci's iconic work, the Mona Lisa painting. So this Mona Lisa painting, this is oil on wood panel, and this is one of the iconic works that that represent the cultivation of one's talent, cultivation of one's intellect. So here during the period of Renaissance, the well-being is associated with talent and intellect. And individual achievements, that was the main focus that was associated with well-being. Now continuing with the period of Renaissance, here in this slide on the left hand side you can see the Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. Now this Vitruvian Man, this drawing, this epitomizes Renaissance ideals of physical perfection and well-being. Based on the writings of Vitruvius, it explores human proportions and symmetry. It suggests that human health and well-being are inherently connected to natural, harmonious proportions. Now, Leonardo's work symbolizes a holistic approach to health, integrating both body and spirit in harmony with nature. Now, on the right hand side, you can see Sandro Botticelli's Primavera. Now, this Primavera painting depicts an idyllic scene filled with mythological figures in a lush flowering environment. The symbolism in Primavera reflects ideals of rebirth, fertility and beauty, tying these elements to well-being through harmonious natural forms and balanced compositions. Now, Italian Renaissance artists were influenced by the writings of Greek philosophers like Aristotle, who spoke of eudaimonia. Eudaimonia is flourishing or well-being. And this became a recurrent theme in the visual expressions that connected physical beauty to the soul's health. So here you can see the concept of well-being as represented by Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man, where the focus is on a proportional physical body, and on the Sandra Botticelli's Primavera painting, and where which is a symbol of rebirth, fertility, beauty, and the nature. So during the same period, the Islamic world was also experiencing its own renaissance, characterized by intellectual advancements, scientific discoveries, and vibrant artistic expressions. The arts of the Islamic Renaissance were deeply influenced by religious and philosophical ideals that emphasized spiritual well-being, knowledge, beauty. So here you can see some Persian manuscripts and miniatures. So in Persia, artists like Behzad and Khusro, they created highly detailed miniatures that depicted scenes from everyday life, mythology, and religious texts. These miniatures often illustrated stories from epic poems such as the Shahnameh, and included themes of love, heroism, spiritual journey. So like for example, here you can see on the left hand side this is the miniature by Behzad, and this is the building of the famous castle of Khavarnak. And besides it you can see a miniature from Khusro. This is courtier and hermit from Khamse of Amir Khusro. So these miniature, they were very detailed, and they represent interconnection between the earthly and the spiritual well-being. So on the right hand side you can see Arabic calligraphy. Arabic calligraphy was not just an art form but a spiritual practice that sought to honor the divine. Artists meticulously crafted verses from the Quran, believing that the aesthetic beauty of the calligraphy itself could bring viewers closer to the spiritual well-being. Calligraphy transformed text into sacred art form, symbolizing purity, discipline, and inner peace. So this was the Islamic Renaissance and art and well-being. Now, during the same period, in China was the Ming Dynasty. So the Ming Dynasty was from around 14th century to around 17th century. So in China, the Ming Dynasty coincided with the European Renaissance, and saw a flourishing of art and renewed interest in Confucian ideals, which included notions of self cultivation, balance, and well being. Chinese artists and intellectuals emphasized personal development and harmony with nature, integral to Confucian, Taoist, and Buddhist traditions. Now, here you can see some ink wash paintings, some ink on paper. So, the literary painters of the Ming Dynasty, such as the Shenzhou and Wen Zhangming, they used ink wash paintings to express their connection with nature, solitude, and self reflection. Now, these works often depict mountains, rivers, isolated figures, convey a sense of peace and introspection, emphasizing mental well being through unity with the natural world. So, like on the right hand side, you can see the Garden of the Inept Administrator by Zhuzhang Yuan. This was built on the site of an ancient temple in Suzhou by the censor Wang Xianchen. Now, in 1527, after an unhappy stay in Beijing, the artist Wen returned to Suzhou, where he was given a studio in the garden. And in an album of around like 1535, Wen painted 31 views of the site, each accompanied by a poem and a descriptive note. So this was one of such work of Ming Dynasty, this the Garden of Inept Administrator. And here on the left hand side you can see the landscape. This is very iconic work by Shenzhou, the landscape that was done during 15th century. This is ink on paper. So this is another concept of well-being where the emphasis was on personal development and harmony with nature. Now, another great artwork of Ming Dynasty was the porcelain art. Ming porcelain, renowned for its delicate beauty and fine craftsmanship, this was highly valued not only as an art form but as an object of contemplation and aesthetic pleasure. These porcelains often featured motifs from nature symbolizing harmony, prosperity, and longevity. And these elements they are closely associated with well-being. Now, Chinese art of the Renaissance period was less focused on physical beauty and more oriented towards intellectual and closeness with the nature, aligning with the belief that inner harmony and wisdom are key to personal well-being. So here in this slide you can see some this blue and white porcelain from Ming Dynasty, and on the right hand side you can see this double guard vase from this floral decoration from the Ming Dynasty. So during the same time period in Africa there was Kingdom of Benin. So here you can see some Benin bronzes. Now, in Africa, many societies had rich artistic traditions that represented well-being through symbols of strength, vitality, and communal harmony. So, here, like Benin bronzes, what does like they represent? The Kingdom of Benin, they produced sophisticated bronze plaques and sculptures depicting the Oba king. So on the right hand side you can see the head of an Oba. Now this Oba king and also the warriors and the dignitaries, they were in regal attire, and these works they celebrate vitality, strength, power, and qualities associated with leadership and community well-being. So like in this Benin kingdom, this the concept of well-being that was closely associated with the strength, power, leadership, and the community well-being. Now continuing with the kingdom of Benin, here you can see some Yoruba Ifa divine boards. Now these Yoruba Ifa divine boards, so these boards they are made by Yoruba artisans. So Yoruba artisans they craft these intricate divine boards, and these boards are used for rituals to guide individuals towards health, wisdom and balance. These boards they have symbols. These symbols represent various aspects of life. So with the divine, they use these boards to help seekers find spiritual and physical balance. And these objects they symbolizes a holistic approach to well-being, where the divine and spirituality, these aspects they offer pathways to personal and communal health. So this was all regarding the Banyan kingdom. So during the same period, when there was a period of Renaissance in Europe, so when if we go to America during that time, so in the Americas the Aztec, Maya and Inca civilization were there, and in these civilization, the Aztec, Maya, Inca, they created art that reflected their own conception of well-being, and they emphasized harmony with the cosmos. They emphasized community ritual, the cyclic nature of life and death. For example, here on the left hand side, you can see the Aztec sunstone. This Aztec sunstone is a late post classic Mexican sculpture, and this was carved around like in 16th century, and it represents the Aztec cosmos and the interconnectedness of time, God, human life. And this monument, which played a role in rituals, this symbolizes the balance needed to maintain cosmic harmony, a balance critical for well-being in Aztec philosophy. The Aztec believed that by aligning with cosmic forces, they could ensure the health of their community. And on the right hand side, you can see some Maya stele on the in the middle and on the right corner. So Maya stele, so in Maya culture, stele were created to commemorate rulers and significant events. So they commemorate significant events and their rulers in the form of these stele. So these sculptures often depict rulers performing rituals, engaging with deities, right? So they emphasize that it is the responsibility of the ruler to maintain the health of prosperity of their people. So the Maya saw physical, mental and spiritual health interlinked with the universe, cosmology, and they also emphasized on ritual practices, and they commemorate this stele to for the significant events and for their rulers, and they think that it is the responsibility of the ruler to maintain the health and prosperity of their people. So this was around the Inca Maya civilization, the Aztec civilization of the Americas during the similar period. So if we come to the artistic expressions of modern period, so in contrast to the Renaissance, pre-Renaissance and the prehistorical work, the art of the modern period challenges the traditional notions of well-being. The modern artwork that reflect anxieties, dislocations of modern life. For example, here you can see the work of artists like Edvard Munch and Pablo Picasso. So work of these artists that depict the fragmentation of self and alienation of the individual in the modern world. For example, on the left hand side you can see the Munch's The Scream painting, which is a powerful expression of existential angst, portraying human experience as one of isolation and despair. Like on the right hand side you can see Picasso's Guernica, and this Guernica painting, this conveys the trauma and suffering of war, and it shows that well-being cannot be easily attained in a world which is marked by violence and chaos. But there is also hope that is portrayed in modern artwork. Contemporary visual art, it continues to explore themes of well-being, often in relation to several issues like issues of social justice, environmental sustainability, mental health. For example, here you can see the work of artists like Yoko Ono and Ai Weiwei. So these works, they address the structural inequalities that prevent people from achieving well-being, and these works, they also offer vision of hope and resistance. For example, on the left hand side you can see Ono's wish tree. It invites viewers to participate in a collective act of wishing for peace and well-being. It suggests that art can be a powerful tool for fostering connection and healing. So similarly, on the right hand side you can see IYY's sunflower seeds installation. So this work that critiques the dehumanizing effects of mass production, and it celebrates the potential for individual creativity and resilience in the face of oppression. So this kind of work, that is a symbol of hope and resilience. Now, I would like to end by this song from Gitanjali by Rabindranath Tagore. I thought that my voyage had come to its end at the last limit of my power, that the path before me was closed, that provisions were exhausted, and the time come to take shelter in a silent obscurity. But I find that thy will knows no end in me, and when old words die out on the tongue, new melodies break forth from the heart, and where the old tracks are lost, new country is revealed with its wonders. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening.